Hey, it's Max. I like trams, and it seems that LEGO does too, since I'm back to make a second video of every LEGO tram. That's right, between me missing a quarter dozen trams and LEGO releasing a few more, I've somehow shoehorned them all into another 9-minute long video. With this first one, we're going right back to the very beginnings of LEGO, where they made not one, not two, but at least 3 wooden tram sets, if not more. I was extremely surprised when I first learnt of their existence, and I can almost guarantee you hadn't heard of them until now. They're such an obscure part of LEGO's history that only one of them is even listed on Bricklink, with the other ones catalogued who knows where. Well, as it turns out, after scrolling way too far down on Google Images, I do know where. But even with this additional resource, the information on them is still so scarce that I can't really say much about them. What I can say is they all have a motor carriage and a trailer. The motor carriage has a physical trolley pole on 2 of them, with the third one appearing to have it painted on. But then again, I'm not even sure if this one even is LEGO, and this is the only picture that I've found of it, so it's anyone's guess. All of that confusion aside, I've had a hand at designing my own reimagined version with LEGO, because if you couldn't tell, this isn't an original. Unfortunately, my attempt turned out absolutely horrible. I haven't had the opportunity to build it yet, and I don't even know if I really want to, but its design is mildly similar to my Z-Class and I can't bear to look at that block any longer, so I reckon I can get away with replacing it with this for now. I missed another obscure tram in the last video, this time for an alternative build in a 2019 3-in-1 set that I hadn't the faintest idea about until it was pointed out to me in the comments. This is set 31097, Townhouse Pet Shop and Cafe, and off in the corner is the culprit. It's not much to speak of, being only 110 bricks, but it's a neat little build. Unlike every other brick-built tram featured in either part, this one uses normal tiny wheels, not compatible with any standard track. It suits the 3-in-1 set well enough, but converting it to narrow gauge doesn't require too many modifications, and being a 4-stud wide build, I almost like it like this. As with most alternative 3-in-1 builds, it has to use creative methods to fit in with the rest of the set. One of the most annoying of those being how they had to make the second windscreen. The front windscreen is a lovely curved 2x4x2 piece, but the rear one is a mishmash of 1x2 bricks and panels. Luckily, since I'm broke and had to part it out on Bricklink, I can rectify the issue no problem. Unless of course you lose the second windscreen piece you bought, but who would do that? From the Townhouse Cafe to the Plant Cafe, this next tram is from an unlikely source, a brand spanking new Friends set. Unlike the micro tram Castaway from the last set, this one takes a lot more precedence, but is by no means anything too major. Coming in at a cool 239 bricks, it's an interesting take on a Friends-inspired tram. Now, I'm by no means a proponent of LEGO Friends, but I can get behind some of the stuff they're releasing for it. This is the first official tram I've covered in this video that can actually run on standard track, using 2 sets of tram wheels. I think this might be the first case of LEGO using 1x2 axle plates instead of the 1x4 alternatives seen on every other tram. When I first saw it, I had a sneaking suspicion that the base might hang a bit too low to run over standard switches, and lo and behold I was correct. Quite a major oversight from LEGO on that one. Other than that, it has 2 sleek, angled windows for both windscreens, which is very reminiscent of the cable tram I covered in the last video. Both ends of the tram have levers just behind the windows, however only one of these sides has anything that resembles a cab, all 2 dials of it. I do like the touch of the rope behind it though. This is now the second tram on the full list to have a roof that isn't attached by any studs, which may or may not have caught me off guard on a number of occasions now. To add to the interesting takes this tram comes with, being a part of the Plant Cafe, the tram has flower beds attached to the sides, because why not? These massively bloat the loading gauge, which is never ideal, but I suppose it was never meant to be run on anything more than a simple loop in the first place, if anything at all. As usual, I parted it out, but I didn't get the sticker sheet when I did so my one looks a bit plain compared to what it's meant to, but hey, it took me 2 years to get the sticker sheet for the cable tram, and I still haven't applied all of them 6 months later. These things just take time. I also had to change up some of the colours, because a lot of the parts in the set were recolours, and weren't available on Bricklink yet. I tried to keep it within reason, and if you're not paying close attention, you'd hardly notice the difference. I'm not crazy, you are, but I'm sensing a theme with this next one. After 2 cafe sets, we of course have to have a restaurant. The sushi restaurant tram is very much an oddball. I don't even know if I should really count this as a LEGO set since it's from the Bricklink Designer program, but it's the next best thing. Oh, and this isn't becoming available for crowdfunding until February of 2026, so I'm slightly ahead of the curve with this one. This created some complications, not in the least that I had to create the replica from scratch using only the available promotional material, but from everything visible in said material, it's almost one-to-one. It was a fun challenge that really had me going, but I will say I was very relieved when I finally couldn't spot any more dissimilarities. The tram contains just over 200 bricks, and has a rather large wheel spacing, despite using tram wheels. It has the uniquely quirky aesthetic that you only get from a Japanese tram, and I think it was captured brilliantly, although I can't help but notice that the driver would be positioned on the wrong side of the tram for left-hand running. There were a few other little nitpicks that I have with it, but there isn't much that I can really say until it's officially released and I get a closer look at its intended design. Because I have no way of accessing the sticker sheet, I just left the destos blank. But it's not like there's a precedent of me doing this in the past or anything. And finally, we come to the end of the list, with another set released this year, 60473, the City Tower. I have a lot to say about this one. If I'm being honest, I would classify this as a metro or subway and not a tram. However, it follows extremely similar design language to last year's Downtown Tram set, so I thought that I might as well show it off. Most of that similar design comes from the chassis. The new tram, metro? I'll go with metro to ease my pain. The new metro's wheelbase is identical to the Downtown Trams, and it also has the same sort of pseudo low-floor section in the middle, meaning that it meshes extremely well with the tram stop in the other set. I thought that the new station set that released alongside the metros might include the same play feature as the tram stop, but that doesn't appear to be the case. As with the Friends tram and almost everything else these days, I didn't buy the sticker sheet when I parted out its 207 pieces. Yes, I parted it out, I'm not spending $300 for a tiny train and some spare bricks. Anyway, I can see why they went to town with stickers on the set, because without them it doesn't look all that great. But I can't exactly claim to be any better with my tram, so I won't fault it too much for that. I love the dark turquoise highlights, and I think this might now be my third favourite LEGO colour, after transparent brown and dark azure. Funny considering my actual favourite colour is yellow. The Metro has turbo sockets for coupling to other carriages at either end, but despite having similar design language to the Downtown Tram, it is otherwise incompatible with it. The couplings do, however, make it quite easy to spend $600 to create a two-carriage train. I've already spent my fair share on making two-carriage trains, and funnily enough, the Metro meshes perfectly with the turbo couplings I have on my slightly modified 4855 train. Yet another set I haven't bought the sticker sheet for. Speaking of 4855 for a second, LEGO is releasing a modernised version of the set next month, and I've got to say they've really missed the mark with the train on that one, especially when compared to the old one. The undercarriage is slightly better, and that's about it. To me, 4855 is what you get if you combine the Metro and the new Spider-Man train using a 21-year-old brick palette, and it's better for it. Back to the Metro, and the one thing I love about the set, and the reason I didn't part it out before it released, is the subtle angle on the front windows. It's done using a simple arrangement of clips and bars, with panels on the sides to cover the gaps, and a clever one-stud wide partition directly behind to theoretically make the windows function. So despite my grievances, this is probably my favourite out of all of the ones that I've shown off in this video. And with that, I've run out of trams. If LEGO releases any more, you'll bet I'll be right on it. However, I still have many more of mine that I'm yet to show off, so stay tuned for that. Why not subscribe and all of that good stuff? And if you really want to go the extra mile and support my work, why not chuck a membership in? Huge thanks to Jay and Victorian Transport History for your support. Thanks for watching, see you next time.